It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Hello there, thank you for clicking on the video. I just want to give you a quick heads up that the price predictions in this video for this coin are based on a formula that I came up with. I'll leave a link in the description to that video where I discuss more in depth how I came up with these numbers. Just understand that in this particular video, we'll just be discussing the price predictions, briefly touching on the formula, but again, the more in-depth analysis of exactly where I've come up with these numbers and percents are all going to be inside of that video. Watch that first. Come back, watch this. Hello there, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of TA with MK. My name is McKay. In today's episode, we're going to do our best to get some price projections for the coin Bittensor, ticker TAO. This is one of those coins that I think actually could perform pretty good this bull run, so I'm excited to do this video. Let's go. Alrighty, if you've been following any of my price projection videos to this point, you know the first thing I do is go to CoinGecko.com, I search the coin. So in this case, we've searched TAO or Bittensor, and we need to write down a little bit of information before we can apply it to my formula. We want to write down its current position, which at the time of making this video was position number 45. We want to write down the circulating supply and the max supply, and if the numbers differ, we need to find out if there's token unlocks coming up, or if this is a coin that gets mined, and if so, what's the mining rate. What we need to find out is a general idea of what the circulating supply could be at or around the time that we might sell the coin. Now, the typical website that I use in a lot of my videos for that is cryptorank.io. That would apply to any coin that has a normal vesting schedule, so they have periodic token unlocks. Now, looks like TAO or Bittensor is a little bit different. It looks a lot like it's a lot more like Bitcoin. There's actually a whole mining thing that goes on. In fact, if you scroll down here on their website, it talks about when they have halvenings, and it says up here that the block is mined every 12 seconds, rewarding miners and validators with 1 TAO per block. At the current inflation schedule, this leads to 7,200 new TAO being issued in circulation every 24 hours. And I'm guessing that's obviously just an average, but we're going to apply that here in a second to our circulating supply. So hopefully this doesn't get too confusing, but for today's video, I'm actually going to use 2 different circulating supplies, basically giving 2 different scenarios or 2 different price projections based on those circulating supplies. The first one that we're going to use is actually going to be this 10,500,000, which is just what the Bittensor website estimates will be in circulation by October 13th of 2025. So that would be something like Bitcoin topping before the end of next year, or at least TAO in this case. And then scenario number 2, we're just going to say if it were to top by the end of this year or maybe the beginning of next, that we can take this 7,200 times X amount of days and then add that number to the current circulating supply, and that'll give us a second number that we can use for another price projection. What we're looking at here is my Google Sheets document. I'll leave a link in the description of every video that I put out to do with these price predictions, so you can use this on your own time. But just a quick explanation of what you're looking at here. In yellow, we have Bitcoin price predictions. I have another video where I go over where I come up with these. But we have 91K, 100K, 115K, and 130K. Obviously, Bitcoin can go much higher than this, but these are just what I'm projecting Bitcoin to reach. And what we're doing is we're taking hypothetical position ranks for these coins, and we're saying, okay, here's what the projected market caps would be based on these Bitcoin prices. And then from there, we're going over here to my formula. And all that we're doing is we're taking these hypothetical market caps, dividing them by whatever the coin's circulating supply is, and that's giving us projected prices. So what I like to do in these videos is I like to do the math for the formula on the first one for you, so you can see how I'm doing this, and then I'll just present the data for you for the rest. So if we scroll down here to position number 45, across from that, we can see our first projected market cap for that position is 5.8 billion. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and type in 5.8 billion, and then we're going to divide that by that bigger circulating supply, which would be like Bitcoin hitting 100 or 91K at the end of next year, which is going to be the 10,500,000. We're going to hit equal, and that gives us our first projected price of $552.38. So I realize that price projection seems unlikely, seeing that TAO's already been higher than that, and Bitcoin's obviously not hit 91K yet, but you have to realize that's a projection for the end of next year, which means TAO would probably go much, much, much lower, and then possibly rally back up to like 600 bucks. Now, if it were to go to 91K sooner than later, like in the next few months, the circulating supply is obviously going to be much lower. In fact, it may only be something like 7 million at that point, maybe even less. So you could take that same number, which is 5.8 billion, divide that by something like 7 million, And then that's going to give you a price of $828. So you can kind of see what I mean there as far as how the circulating supply will make a big difference on the price of what TAO goes to. All right, next up, I'm going to go ahead and present that data for you, and I'll do my best to explain kind of what you're looking at here. So if TAO were to remain at position number 45, we have these different projected market caps based on that position, and then we have these different Bitcoin prices. Now there's two different prices here. There's the ultra conservative one, which would be if TAO doesn't top until the end of next year. It's after the halving, and all 10.5 million coins at that point are in circulation. And then to the right of that, we have, I guess, the less conservative one, still conservative, but what this price projection would be based off 8.4 million being in circulation, which would be kind of the average between where the circulating supply is now and where it could potentially be at the end of 2025. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind before I go through the rest of this data is just because the validators and the miners, you know, add so many more coins, say it was 7,200 or something every day into circulation, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're selling their coins. You know, I'm sure a certain percentage of them do, some probably don't, some hodl or whatever the case may be, some may stake them. And so when I say conservative, I literally mean conservative because the odds are that just because at the end of 2025, 10.5 million coins could potentially be in circulation doesn't mean they all will be, or that they'll be being sold necessarily. So anyway, so what we have here is at 91K, we've got prices of $550 and then 690. We got 100K of 610 and 762. 115K, we've got a little over $700 and $880. And then at 130K, we've got the conservative target of $820, and then just under 1,000 at 130K, which is an average price between all 8 of these is $750, which would be an average price for Bitcoin of 110K. So these next two projections work the same way, so we'll go through them a little quicker. Now this would be if TAO were to reach position 26 through 30. So we have these higher market cap projections. And so at 91K, we have $1,000 TAO and 1262. We have 1114 and 1393. We have 1285 and 1607. And then at 130K Bitcoin, we got 1447 on the conservative side, a little over 1800 on the little bit more aggressive side, which at average price between all 8, which would be $110 Bitcoin, puts us at a price of 1365. And then the final projection, which is one that I could see actually happening with TAO this bull run, would be it winding up at least at its peak between positions 16 and 20. Market cap projections, of course, right here. Now at 91K Bitcoin, you have 1780 and 2226. 100K Bitcoin, 1961 and 2452. 115K, we got 2257 and 2821. And then at 130K Bitcoin, we have 2542 and 3178. And the average price between all those, which would be $110 Bitcoin, would put TAO at 2402. And then just super quick before we move on, I also want to give a price projection for a potential 150K Bitcoin. In fact, I think Bitcoin can actually go higher. I just like to keep these predictions or projections kind of on the conservative side, just so there's not so much hopium flowing around. At any rate, so if Bitcoin were to hit 150K and TAO were to reach position 16 through 20, we have a market cap projection of 30.9 billion. And if it were to hit its top before the end of 2025, we'd have 2942 TAO. And if it were to happen sooner than later, you know, before the end of the year, or you know, the first month or two into next year, we have a price projection of 3678. And the average price between those two is just over $3,300 at $3,310. Next, we're gonna hop over to a TradingView chart real quick and just present that data for you. We have a green, blue, red, and orange line, each representing those different potential average prices based on those positions that we just spoke about. So in yellow, position number 45, average price is $750. A potential 366% gain. Position number 26 through 30, average price $1365. Potential gain of 255% from where the price is now. Position number 16 through 20, average price $2402, a little over 500%, 525% to be exact. And then 150K Bitcoin that we talked about, TAO ending up position 16 through 20, average price $3310. From where we are now would be about a 761% gain. So then just to finish up the video, what is my personal prediction or projection for the price of TAO for this bull run? Well, I've added a green chart or green line here on the chart, which represents that prediction. I think TAO can reach as high as position number 20, which has an average price of around $21.75. Now keep in mind that these projections are based on the coin topping at the same time Bitcoin does, which basically would represent the end of the bull run, right, or the peak of it. odds are this coin's going to top at a different time, and position number 20 at that time could have, you know, a 10 or 15% higher market cap that it actually ends the bull run at. And so you could actually add another couple $100 to this, even as high as maybe like $2,500. That might be where TAO actually peaks, in my, you know, my opinion at least. And then, you know, it just kind of levels out at 2175 at the end of the bull run before, you know, eventually retracing. And from where price was at the time of making this video, which was right around $380, if you zoom in over here on the right, you can see that'd be about a 466% gain, and it'd actually be about a 5.5 to 6x. Thank you for sticking around to the end. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Now keep in mind, in the next month or so, I'll put out an updated video for all these coins, giving a projection for each of them if Bitcoin were to hit something like 150K or possibly even 200K this bull run. If you're liking these videos, as always, on your way out, do me a huge favor and please remember to like and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one. It's TAO.